Hey people, this is the Broken Puppet, back with another video for today. This one is how to draw a gangster L. Now it's much more new school than it is old school, but it does have a couple of old school elements. And I'll talk you through the line work, shading, line weight, highlights, the works, full tutorial, and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. So yeah, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Right people, how to draw an old school gangster L. Now it's going to be something similar to this, not quite exactly quite the same. And that way I can kind of show you two variations. But it's going to be this kind of 1950s kind of gangster style, so like the vest, the hat, you know, that kind of just new school but that kind of old school kind of vibe to it. So yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be. I'm going to do it on this kind of paper so I can show you the shading and the highlights as well. Let's put this one over here. Wait. Right, here we go. To start with, you just basically want to plot out where were you on all the body bits. Now for this one I'm thinking, the face facing that way. I'm going to have the face facing the other way. I'm going to have a wing out over here, body. I'm going to have him holding a gun on this side, I think. Tail bits at the bottom. So basically what you want to do is just plot out a big circle first, like so. And I hope that's clear. Yeah. And just for the head shape at first. And that, I'm going to do like a ring on top of that, and then like a half circle just on top. Now this is just giving me the basic idea where I want to put his hat. And for this one I'm not too sure if I'm going to do a bowler hat or dribbler or something different. I'll work up as I go along. And that, but yeah, it's roughly where you want the face. Now with the face as well, I like to put an extra circle bit just curving off at the bottom of it. And that just gives an idea where you can put like his chin. They always have like a, well mine do, always have that fatty kind of neck to it. And that. Then you're on the body. Nearly the same size as the head, just a touch bit bigger. And that. Very little in it low. Now come around here, almost triangular, you want to curve this. Now because he's facing this way, and that, yeah, so if we just put line through it, line through there to give an idea of the direction he's facing. His body would be the same concept, like kind of going that way. And because he's got this collar bit is going to kind of go to this line here, which would be the centre of his body. So bring a curve down there, and then it's like a curve going around the neck. So it's like a collar almost. And that we'll work out the vest and stuff I'll show in a bit, but we're just plotting out the basic bits for now. I'm going to do two circle shapes, one there, one there. It's going to be where his feet are going to go, and then the wings, because of the angle I've got this wing is going to be spread out, I'm going to do it into two kind of semicircle shapes. I always like to break my wings down to a couple of different shapes. You can do a curve like a really old school way, so it's got a single curve, but I've done a couple of shapes, just gives it a bit more dynamic, as you'll see when I'm doing it. So this is going to be like the top of the wing, coming out this way. And this is going to be the bottom bit. I'm going to make this bit separate in its like a feather style to this one. You'll see as I'm going along what I mean, but generally looks really good. From the bottom, just draw like a line coming down, put a oval shape around it, and just split it up with some basic little lines of that. That's where the tail's going to be. A few little extra bits around here. Just so I'm just flicking the pencil so I get an idea of where some extra bits around the outside might look good. Sorry, where some extra bits might look good. So I'm just thinking some basic kind of leaves and stuff at the moment, nothing too fancy, maybe a rose, but we'll see as we go along. And now if you wanted to, if you don't want to do a gun here, you could do another wing similar to this on this side, or have it going backwards or further up. This one's going to be different, so I'm going to make this almost like an arm. And I'm going to have a kind of curving here, curving down, so you're making almost like an S shape, just like this. And we're going to do the long tube just coming from the inside of the arm, just like that. And I'm going to make this one like a Tommy gun. And I mean, you can look online and see what a Tommy gun looks like. I'm just going to do a real basic one. So just adding that circle bit to the gun. A little rectangle here, that's where, like, you know, the handle will be. A little front handle. I'm not going too glamorous with it, but basically where I've got this coming through, I'm going to make the feather look like it's kind of holding around it, like there for his fingers as well. So it'll literally just be there. That's going to kind of curve there. A few little extra bits just around the outside, I think. Now for the face, we've got that line. You want to draw almost triangular, just like kind of curving around, like a teardrop upside down, but curving with that face shape. And that's going to create the nose, the beak roughly. You see? So like a teardrop, just kind of curving, maybe a slight bit off to the centre of the mouth, so it looks like it's kind of coming out a little bit. And then I'm going to do an oval shape on this side. Now you can do this circular, but to make it look a bit more realistic, do an oval. Because as the face turns this way, the eye becomes thinner. It doesn't always stay like a circle. You can if you want, but I just tend. I mean, it's not a realistic picture, but it just kind of gives it an air of realism. And then a bigger one, more circular on that side. Curve around there. I'm just going to bring a curve line, just coming from where this beak is, off the top, curving outside the face. Real simple, like an S shape. So you just curve, take it out like that. I'm going to do the same, kind of come this side, come this way. Don't worry if you're overlapping lines at the moment, and that really doesn't make too much difference at this point. Little curve just underneath that eye, one little there. So you can probably get an idea of the rough shape of it now. And, I mean, it's really quite basic at this point, but if you can't see it too clearly, don't worry. I'm going to go straight into pen now so you can see it dead clearly. And start with, I'll start with a face. Face is always a really good point to start. I'm going to start with a beak. Now where we've done that tear shape, it's going to bring in this line, curving down to the bottom. So you're pretty much just going around the outline you just drew, very similarly. When I get to the top line, I'm going to make it a bit more of a point, curve, and come down around it there. Going to bring it down again, so make like a little V shape underneath. Just going to create like a little bottom bit to a beak. Now you don't have to necessarily do it that way, there's lots of other ways you can do it. Little detailed line just over the top. Just like that. And I'm going to bring a line mimicking that shape of the beak and just curving around and stopping halfway through. So you're just copying that line, just going a bit wider up and come around it. And it just creates like a little bump on top of the beak, which, you know, always looks good. Just a little detail flick underneath. And now realistically these eyebrows wouldn't come in front of the hat, but I always like to show the eyebrows of, you know, my owls. It's kind of like one of my little signature things I like to do. A lot of people do it as well, you know, it's quite common. Eyebrows are always a big feature in like any kind of expression. So I'm just copying that shape we just drew, that curve, the S, curving that long. And I'm going to bring that back, flick in. Bring it up a little bit, bring it down the same way, flick. Maybe a third one. Put as many as you want, and once you get to the bottom you just bring it into that line. So you just add in like little kind of V shapes, and once you come back you bring it to the line so it comes to a point. Little line there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So bring that out, the V shape in, little V shape. Bring that down to join. Real simple. Right, now I'm going to bring in that eye shape. Now this one, where I've got the oval shape, I'm going to put a line just under here, so the eye's kind of sitting in the cheek. Now it's part of the expression I want them to be pulling. You can just make the oval shape and just connect up. You don't have to add that if you don't want to. I just like to. Then I'm just going to bring in a little kind of oval circle shape and then a black dot. Just create the eye. Now my owls, I like to either make the eyes blank where there's no pupil or put a little pupil in, like I'm just doing here. And I'm going to add another little bit and just going to bring a line on the inside bit there, just to the top, and flick a couple of lines. So it just looks like the eyelid's a bit squinted. Nothing too dramatic though. Now where this bit comes off, I'm just going to bring in like a little V-shape, similar to what you've done on the edge here. I'm just going to make this a bit more curved. So you're basically doing a V-shape with a curve, and I'm just going to bring several on until it gets there. Just bring a little line like that. I'm not going to do too much of that because I want to show this hat in a sec. So I'm just doing the basic eye feature. This eye I'm going to do the whole circle shape up to the eyebrow. I'm not doing the curve underneath on this one. I'm going to do the same sort of thing underneath here. Just going to bring in a little curve so it looks like, you know, you've got a bit, the eyelids kind of squinted. Right. I'm going to do a little bit of detail just around the outside here. This is literally going to just be lines, 2 lines, then a big line. Just curving, and then it just gives like a little feather look going around the face. On its own sometimes it doesn't really fit in, but when you put it with quite a few throughout the picture, it just makes sense. Like I want it just to be a bit fluffy around that area. Right, and now what I'm going to do similar to what I've done here, just underneath this eye. I'm going to bring those kind of V shapes, just kind of curved. Just curving around that, just curving around the eye. And then I'm going to draw in this hat shape. Now we outlined the hat shape, so I'm not going to do too much on that. I'm just going to let you just go around that outline I've done. I'm going to bring it up just a touch so it fits in with the eye shape. You can always adjust afterwards, you know, you ain't got to be exact with your lines. Remember those first lines you've done were guidelines, not your finished lines. So if you look at it and you want to change up a line, just go ahead and do that. So yeah, we've got the basic hat bit in the top now. Now we've done that, I'm not going to go too crazy with this face shape detail. I'm just going to bring in a curve around here. So I'm bringing a curve just here. And this is going to go into like the chin area. It's literally just going to be like a V shape with just like some lines flicked up. Creating almost like a little kind of goatee for him. So you've got like a cheek, then a goatee. If you want, you can make this a bit more feather-like. A few little lines or some curves around the outside like so. Again, I'm just going to bring this curve out once I get here. Bring some curves. I'm going to have it kind of curving it so it comes in towards the eye a bit, and then curving up to the eyebrow. Line around the edge. So you can see here we're starting to get the face shape, it's starting to develop now. Now what I've done around the nose, but I'm just going to a few little areas just around the place, just to show a bit of feather motion. I'm not going to do too much, I'm going to do throughout the picture. Now I'm going to bring in that big collar we done. You can make this as big or small as you want. I like mine to be quite big. And you want these to kind of just curve up underneath. So you want to start line curving out and come underneath. Starting from this point at the bottom, I like to keep them all coming roughly from the same point. And you want to try and keep in your mind like a kind of cylinder shape, so it's kind of curved. And try and bend it as you draw. So you see on this side I'm kind of curving this way, and then this side I'm kind of curving the other way. Now this makes a lot more sense once you put the shadow in, which you'll see in a bit. So yeah, we got that now. And now we've done that, I'm going to go on to the wing now. Now to start with, I'm just going to bring in a curve. Coming up like that, just to show the outside of the wing shape. Just going to curve that in, just like that. So similar to what we've done on the sides, like a kind of V shape but curving in. I'm just going to do a whole bunch of these. You can keep them the same size if you want, or play around. I'm going to do these all different sizes on this one. Just coming down there, I'm going to put a few just overlapping. Try not to go too crazy with the direction of them. You want them roughly to keep facing the same kind of direction. And now you've done that, I'm going to bring these over. Bring a line here. Going to curve it in a bit there. I'm going to curve it in, just like that. I'm going to start my second one just underneath it, so I'm going to mimic it. This one a little bit separate. Basically just layering the same exact pattern just around it and underneath. Now you can play around with it, like you see here. I haven't got them all facing the exact same angle. You can if you want, you can get like a smooth finish. You know, it's really up to you. I like to play around with my angles just a touch. So if you're just out of place, so like I said, remember I said I wanted this bit to be separate. So what I'm going to do now is just join this little angle of vest so I can fit in this lower part of this one. And now this is this oval shape. And if you want to get a good idea what you want to do, you can sketch in some lines straight, just get an idea of how the angle you want to work. So you want this to kind of fit underneath, but you really want it to look different to the rest, so work it at a different angle or something. And here I'm going to do a different pattern. See here, there's no curve like there is on the edge. I'm keeping these very rounded. Curving like that. You can play around, you know what other bits in that. Now you've done that, you can kind of add a little extra one here and there if you want. You can add different detail lines and stuff. I'm just going to keep it like that for the moment and add the extra bits afterwards. Now where we've done this little line down here, this was like just a simple little curve just to start the waistcoat. Now I'm going to bring in a line down like that, and I'm going to bring up or bring down another little line, a V shape coming down, get one across, the line come across that, get an upper touch. You're not going to see too much of the other angle on this side, so I'm going to bring this one back in and just bring up a little line there. So just keep in your mind like a vest shape, and that's so this little V shape here with just that little dip where, you know, the back of the vest kind of bends up, goes down, then they kind of curve up, curve around, and this is where, like, you know, you're going to get the centre of the vest. So you get the buttons. You could do a little pocket with a stopwatch or something like that if you wanted. You know, add some little semicircles just to give a bit of expression to how the seam is. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the vest. You know, the vest, there's not really too much to the vest. Now, like see here, I overlapped, you know, my circle, you know, to the foot. You know, if you do something like this, you know, I've done this to show you, don't panic. You know, you can always adjust. If you've got something to overlap, you can just move it. You know, that's the good thing with guidelines. You can just move your bits about. You ain't got to keep them in the same place. Now, where I've done the circle, I'm going to divide this up into 3. And now you can do long feet, like you see this one, I do like the feet long. And they're literally just big curves, 2 going off and around. You repeat that with a little claw on the bottom. Now you can decide if you want to do 3 or 4, you know, kind of toe bits. You know, for this one I'm going to do 3. And that's I'm going to do 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom. and that your claw on these ones are going to go to the middle bit. So let's just V-shape towards the centre. V-shape there. V-shape there, going out the way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in a curved line like that. Little one to the side, little one to the side. Now this is just to show that the claw is coming from inside this toe bit. Which we're just going to keep this one simple, just a nice curve around. A little curve in there just to show that the toe does kind of bend. So literally just curve, curve, curve like we've done before. Bring in your V shape. Just curve around like that, just curve on the inside. And pretty much the same thing at the bottom, except the other way around. Because of the angle of this bottom one, I'm going to have the circle just joining up like a circle bit. And just a little line there. And I'm going to have the kind of white splat bits, you know, to go on the shoes. It's going to be hard to tell because of the angle, but I always like to put them in. So unless you just put a curve on the top with 2 line bits there. Maybe one just at the bottom bit, just there. It makes more sense when you colour it in, you know, once you get the white with the black. That's one way of doing a foot. That's another way of doing a foot. You know, you can play around with the claws. I'm just going to quickly do the same thing on the other side. So just flick, flick, flick. V shape. One curving in. One curving around. Flick, flick, flick. One curving in. Now you can take your time with this. I'm trying to do it pretty quick so I can get through this and show you everything without it taking hours and hours. Now, but don't be fooled into thinking I do these like really quickly normally. You know, I spend a lot of time on my pictures. Once we've done that, I'm just going to bring in curve here. Go underneath just to kind of show you how the body's kind of connecting to the bottom. You can add further bits in there to make it a bit more feathery or whichever way you want to do it. And that bit's just kind of modified. You're not going to see a lot of this because I'm going to shade out a lot of this out where the shadow comes under the jacket. So I'm just going to start from the bottom bit now and do this tail feather. So like a big massive curve shape. Just doing more around it, just slowly. Just taking to that guideline shape we've kind of done with each one and just curving it ever so slightly. Like so. Now we've done that, and go over to this side. Now you got the Tommy gun, like, you know, this is going to be a really kind of rough Tommy gun. I'm going to speak through this, so don't judge me for the Tommy gun. You know, I'd need a whole another tutorial to teach you the exact dynamics of how to draw one of these things. So I'm just basically just going over, there goes the pencil. Just going to have a line right there just to quickly so you can see it more clearly. So it's basically a tube, a circular shape, a little hand on the front, and a little hand on the back. You're not going to see too much of a hand on the back because his feather goes over it. So to start with, I'm going to start with the basic shapes that are on top. So the top line, bit here, it's like an aim in sight. Semicircle the front, little line around it, bring that back, little curve, just So there's a little curvature come back a touch. Bring it like a bent rectangle. So you kind of got rectangle shape, you're just bending it a bit. Inside that, just a couple of circle shapes. Like I said, this is kind of rush, it's not going to be dead on the Tommy gun, so for you gun fanatics, don't be judging me. There we go. And then you got the trademark circular cylinder. Of the Tommy gun. And now the feather is basically, I'm just going to bring in curved line. I'm just going to bring in a couple of little just curves off it, just so you can clearly tell that it is the feather and not a finger. You know, it's in the same function as a feature here. It's in the same function feature, the same function as a finger here, but we don't want people to suddenly start thinking this owl actually has fingers. So yeah, so you see it's got like a couple of feather bits. You basically just bring a line and just flick in a couple of little kind of curve shapes as you curve it round, just to give it kind of a bit of a feathery kind of feel. And the bar goes in there. That's just kind of curve under the arm bit there. Now, you know, if you know more about guns, you can add extra stuff. You know, like I said, this is just basic outline for now. Gonna bring this curve up. Gonna curve it in. Literally just like I've done on the other one, just little kind of V shapes, just filling in that little gap area there. Nothing too major. So you can see it's slowly building up. And at this stage I'm gonna work in my line weights. I'll just quickly test how this works on the paper. Fresher one yet. Yeah, this one ain't too bad. And you can go over with the same pen if you want, or you can use a different pen. I want to give it basically 3 different line thicknesses. Now I'm going to use my thickest ones for the outside, and any bits I want to kind of sit over the top of something. And I'll show you what I mean as I go along. So basically just going to go around here. Simply. So basically just bolding up this outline. I'm going to use this just to show off some key features. You'll be surprised just how much difference this really will make to your artwork. You know, once you can learn line weights, it'll take your work to a whole new level. But don't get me wrong, it's not just a matter of doing a thicker outline. That will help sometimes it will ruin it. You know, line weight's more than that. It's hard to teach because it's very much something you just kind of have to see with your eye and judge as you go along. You know, what's good for one picture might not necessarily be perfect for another one. And a lot of this line will disappear when I do the shadows. So see here, I want this collar bit to stand out. So add a line around that. Want your eyebrows to stand out. So I'm going to add a line around that. Like my eyes to stand out, so I'm just going to add a line around that. would normally do this with my other pen and just build it up. And the advantage of doing it with another pen is you won't really get too much bleed with the kind of uni pens that I use. And Sharpies you tend to get, sometimes you get bleed, depends on how quickly you use them. And obviously I'm going pretty quick here, so I'm not getting too much bleed, but I am still getting a bit. If I wanted it more refined and more clean, I'd use the other pen. So you can see I've got basic different line weight in there now. I will do extra detail with like a thinner pen, so you got like 3 different line weights. Now what you can do, like a lot of this I'm going to go over with a white pen, a white pencil to bring out certain highlights. Obviously if you've done on paper, certain areas you might want to keep light and separate. Now these kind of areas are where I'm going to do like a shadow. Now if I quickly show you, I'll put in a shadow first and I'll show you why I'd highlight an area. So the shadow of this tux, well not tux, this vest, it's going to fill in this area. Now there's going to be shadow underneath as well. See, as his body hits this tail bit. Now if I was to shadow in everything, you'd lose a bit of the dynamic of exactly how this leg shape works. So what I'm doing is leaving little areas, little gaps. And now doing it with like a marker sometimes isn't so great, because obviously where it bleeds can bleed into the line. And sometimes when certain things are coloured in solid black, you just lose your shadow shape. Now it's not too bad in areas where you can tell, like here I'm going to join this bit up because I don't need it to really describe it too much because it's easily understood. If I blacked out this entire area, it'd be a bit more difficult. Now obviously this vest is going to be black, similar to how this one is. And now I could use my white pencil to do this, so I'm going to quickly mark it off so you can see. I'm going to literally just leave a little white gap just at the edge, just so you can see the separation between the vest and the shadow. Certain bits won't need it, certain bits will. So I'm going to colour in this vest now, then I'll show you how it made a difference. If I can just find me flex. I'm just using flex and tray markers here. One is running out. Bear with me, just quickly grab another back. Got me black. So I'm just going to flick this one in. You can do this with pencil, paint, whatever, it doesn't really make too much difference on the media you use. So boom, I'm just literally just flick it, and I'm just leaving a couple of areas I want, you know, a couple of white highlightish areas. Just go over the top of the grey. So see, if I hadn't done that, the bottom bit of this vest would have just pretty much just disappeared. You know, sometimes it's very handy just to keep just a couple of little detail bits just like that. Like I said, what you can do as well, I mean, obviously with this, you know, get my white pencil, sharpen. You can also use white gel pens or white ink. You know, they all work just as good. As long as it ain't broken. Which that's what I need, so I'm just going to grab my Prismacolor. Sorry, I'm just a little bit disorganised today. Still trying to get used to everything after the move. There we go. I'll just go over there. So yeah. Now, likewise, you could just go with a white pencil like so. And generally most white pencils will work over black pen and stuff. You know, the really cheapy ones might not, but most generally will. See, that line's appeared back. Underneath there, if I wanted to show this line, I could just bring this around. You don't always have to finish the line as well, like here, like just separating this little collar bit. I can just flip that down and just come to an end like that. I don't necessarily have to put the entire thing in there. Just like so. And there you have the wrist. So that's basically the idea of leaving little gaps, and you'll see I'm going to leave quite a few of them just around certain areas. Now, I'm going to show you how to do the side shading. So you see this bit here? It's very kind of circular shape, and I really want to show off this circular shape. Now for this one I'm going to have like a light beam coming through the middle. So I'm going my first line, which is just going to show the shape. See, just like that. That shows that nice curve. Bring another little line just underneath. And just bring in a shadow at the top. So it'll be underneath that little collar bit. Now this collar's popping out quite a bit, so there's not going to be too much shadow underneath it. Now, depending on how much shadow you put in there, will really show just how much forward that head bit is. You know, so you try to get an idea in your head of just how far forward you want that head. Now I've done that. Now when you're doing this kind of shading, it's often best to go side to side, rather than like, you see how I flicked, you know, this bit in? It's handy for bold bits, but when you want to get a nice smooth shade like I want to show here to show this curve, put in your line first, like I've done here, and then work across it with your light colour. Or if then your pencil, blend it out. And just get lighter and lighter as you go down. Do the same thing just across this top bit. And now to really show the shape, just try and keep it in place, like in the same bit. Don't vary too much from that initial curve. Let's get a lighter grey. Just until it's blended out. I'm going to hit my grey just through the centre piece, and then I'm going to use my white pencil to bring in a highlight for it. So you see how we get like a nice kind of dynamic kind of shadow to it. Something a bit different. This dread. Just going to bring a little white highlight. Through that centre bit there. Just flicking up from the bottom of this. Like so. Do another little bit if you want, you can put like a little bit here. A little bit there. Don't go too crazy with the white highlights though. Sometimes, you know, less is more. And now that I've showed you those, I'm just going to put in the rest of the shadow bits, just all over the picture. You know, you're literally just trying to get in your head and your mind just how the shadow would sit when something's in front of it. Now the shadow kind of goes on here, but it's obviously curved, so it kind of curves on them. So you can see there isn't too many like really bold areas of shadow. Just little bits underneath certain areas. Paint that mouth black. And now I'm just going to do his hat. Now to do this I'm just going to bring in a couple of, as soon as I've done with the neck piece, just going to bring in a curve like there, leave a little gap, bring that a bit, and I'm curving this with the hat shape. So trying to think of that kind of curve shape and work with it rather than against it. And just colour in just off the edge of the hat, flicking in the black, so it's darker on the outside. Now this bit's kind of like a disc shape, so I'm happy to kind of flick in the shading this way, so the lines kind of tell the direction it's going in. It's not like this neck piece where I wanted it to really go smooth. I'm just going to shade in a little bit just around these bits. And then get me highlighter. I'm going to put a little white highlight here just where the little fabric bits kind of sits around the hat. And a little bit just around here, just to show that this edge isn't completely flat, but there is a little bit of a bump there. Just like so. So you can see we're just building in this solid black areas to really kind of start building in like this shape. We start off with a solid and then we kind of blend in. And now we've done that, I think we've done most of the solid black. So what I'm going to do is grab reflex. And I'm just going to flick in a couple little shadows, so just little inside areas. This one's more flick than bold. And this is literally just going to be in corners and places. Just little kind of dark, little areas that would be dark. Nothing too major. So you see just kind of around this eye a bit. Just where like the area kind of sits underneath. So if you think, we're basically doing two different kind of shadows. We're doing like the big kind of bold kind of solid shadows, and then we're working in our faded feather kind of shadows. So we're just adding an extra dynamic. I'm going to add a little bit in this eye, just around this highlight we've done. That big semicircle, and then a little bit of dark just on the outside, just there. So a little bit on this beak, nothing too crazy. a little bit just around those feather marks we've done. Maybe a little bit just around this wing edge. Sometimes it's cool to do that, to give like a little kind of white highlight, you know, just like a little shadow. It's nothing too major. And sometimes it's cool to do the opposite and go right to the edge like I'm doing this one. Then shade outwards. You know, sometimes it's cool to apply rules and sometimes it's cool to break the rules. Just in here, just to show this kind of turn bit, I'm going to put like a little bit of shadow just going up the centre of those feather fingers. Then down a touch from here. I'm getting around, I'm just going to rub out a lot of that pencil work we've done. This stage is just kind of getting in the way now. So you see here on this bit, I'm going to make this outer layer of wing bit just black. Similar to how we've done with the vest. Literally just leaving a little white border. Now this stage is kind of like pattern stage and sort of colour stage, you know. Don't always feel like you have to keep everything one tone. You know, I see some people like, you know, afraid to go dark in areas. Now just remember, if something is black or a dark grey, like if you have something that has like a dark grey top, the shadow will be a lot harder than like, you know, the light skin or something will be. I see a lot of people getting the exact same tones to everything in drawing sometimes. You know, don't be afraid to go dark and don't be afraid to go light in areas. think that looks pretty cool like that. Just a little shadow under each little segment of wing now, so obviously they kind of overlap. Nothing too major, just a little flick just here and there. Same thing under here. Same thing with the colour, I'm just bringing a dark line down the middle of this gun, just to create like a nice kind of shine light. I'm just going to flick my other black bits, just going inwards. Do that, grab grey. And don't be afraid to do different colour shading as well, like here, like as I've worked off with the black for nearly enough of the whole picture, I'm going to make this tail bit fair enough on grey. You know, you can always work in different colours, don't get stuck to one if you don't want to. I'm going to colour in a few of these kind of feathery bits that are just half, so it just kind of gives a little bend kind of shadow to them. Around that beak. So, and now I'm going to put in the highlights throughout the face and stuff. First off, the big kind of curvy head in the eye. Maybe a little line here and there in the eye. Flick down from this eyebrow. Edge of the eye, just anywhere I kind of want to show off a little bit more. If it's anywhere that kind of feels a little bit too hidden, and I think I want to give a bit more shape to, I'm just going to give a blast with the white. Be a bit more neat than I am. I'm literally just flicking in areas. So you can see I'm really just trying to bring out anywhere that's, to me, just seems needs a little bit more dynamic. Now I know it's easier said than done, you know, you might be looking at it and thinking what the hell needs more dynamic. But once you've done this a couple of times, you'll just get the idea of it, the hang of it. You'll do a picture and once you've finished it, you'll look and you'll think, oh, that would have been better if I just showed off that bit a little bit more. And then you notice that next time. You know. But just really look at your picture and just think, you know, what do I want to show off? What do I want to make more pop? Don't sort of focus on whether it should realistically pop out or not. Just what you want to show off. You know, that's how you kind of make it yours. I've done that. I'm just going to put in a few other little details, just little bits here and there. Just got little detail lines and stuff, you know, just to show the shape of things. It don't necessarily make sense, but I like to put them in sometimes. So this you just kind of go in with the shape of things, like these verbs kind of go back, so I'm just flicking little lines going that way. Just a few little kind of little ones there to show off the shape of colour, wing, feather, claw shapes. And then a few areas I just want to kind of bury a little bit to dim down, so I'm just going to give a little hit with a good bit of grey. So literally like the inside of these claws I want to fade out so the actual claws stand up a little bit more. Just like that. I'm just done there. You can add, like, I said, remember the outside, I was saying about adding neck little extras. I'm just going to put in a couple little leafy shadows rather. So just like a basic kind of leaf shape. I'm just going to flick that and fade that out. Be as thick or as thin as you want. Big or as small as you want. A little one, say here maybe. I suppose this you just fill out just as much or as little as you want. Yeah, put a few little tiny leaf bits if you want. Don't necessarily have to be leaves, it could always just be flicks or dots. It's just a bit of background, you know, just to fill in certain areas. You see, so there you have it. A bit Granny's claws. Yeah, I think I've got you done there, I think. So, yeah, I hope you like that. That's how to draw an old school owl. Old school gangster owl. You know, that was another way of doing it. Kind of, you know, facing that way. You know, different kind of, you know, wing positions. You know, just already focus on that beginning segment, you know, where you're just sort of doing the circles to show off where you want the bits. You know, think of something interesting rather than a basic pose. You know, have the wing out, have the arm out, have it bending, have them looking somewhere. You know, I mean, the standard one is good. You know, I've taught that before, but that's like the basic. You know, you try to evolve from the basic. You know, put a little bit of action into it. You know, think about what kind of pose you might like to see it in, and then just go for it. But yeah, I hope that helps. And the Broken Puppet, and I shall see you next time. Peace out.